All right. We are live, or I am live, I guess. uh, YouTube seems to be struggling today a little bit. Let me know how the quality is, guys. Make sure the audio is good. If there are any issues, let me know. But I will endeavor to get this underway. I figured what we'll do is we'll do for this time around we'll do just a regular Q&A session. I don't have any guests today. And then at the end we will do the giveaway. So most likely in about an hour. For the folks who are here live, you can still sign up for the giveaway until maybe like 15 minutes before the end of the stream. I think I set it to 10:45. You should be able to still sign up. Let me know if you're having any issues with that in the chat, but it's got to be live because otherwise I'll miss it. I see lots of folks here already. Good to see everybody. How's the audio? Let me know. Question here is, how is the drawing decided? Is it just from this chat, or you got to sign up? Yes, you got to sign up in the description. So if you look at the description, there's a link there. Let me see if I can find that. I'll paste it into the chat as well. It's headphones.com/pages/giveaways. And you should be able to still sign up. There. Okay. Yeah, so I figured we might as well get started. Let's just do a regular Q&A session. The super chat is enabled if you really need something to be answered, but but otherwise I'm just going to go through the regular chat here. And yeah, might as well get going. Audio level's good. That's awesome. Yeah, it's Pacific time. Yeah. Okay. I see someone saying, what ZMF headphones are those? This is the ZMF Verite that I'm wearing right now with the ZMF Pilot Pad on top, and I'm using the BE2 suede pads with my own custom EQ. Running it right now off of the Amps and Sound Kenzie. By the way, guys, if you're wondering what it is that we're giving away, it's this. Sorry, the camera's got to focus on it. Symphonium Helios. There you go. That looks better. I'll take it out of the case. This is the IEM right here, and it's a bit of a chunky boy, but that's okay, right? It's very. I love the look. By the way, this is. It speaks to me. I mean, you guys know that. This is a very no nonsense kind of look. The fit is a little bit odd because it has. It's not so much like that the nozzles are thick, it's just that they're very long, so you got to make sure that you get the right tips in there. Like I used some tips. Here's the big bag of tips. Right? I used some tips that didn't have enough structure to them, and I found that they would just sort of collapse against the nozzle, and then I would just mostly just feel the edge of the nozzle, which was no good. So I recently switched to these ones. I'm not sure which ones these are, but they have a bit more structure to them, and that makes them a little bit more comfortable. So yeah, this is the Symphonium Helios. This one is terminated in Pentacon. Let me just get this untangled because I was actually taking photos of this like a while ago. The photo that's on the thumbnail that you see, and if anybody's ever tried taking photos of IEMs with the cable attached, you know what kind of unique hell that is. But yeah, this is the Pentacon connector here, and we're also giving away the iFi Go Blue, right? Which is a very convenient little rectangle, and right with the Pentacon, it just connects like that. So basically, it gives you a portable Bluetooth DAC amp combo that has a couple functions on it. This has a bass boost function. It's not significant. It's very subtle, but it's there. I believe this uses the Cirrus Logic thing for the DAC chip. Now comparing this to the ES100, I personally would prefer this because of its various different bass boost functions, and it also seems to have a better I need to like do some A/B testing, but I didn't have any dropouts with this, whereas on the Radson I would occasionally get dropouts. So maybe there's an updated Bluetooth chip in this. I'm not sure. I'll have to check. Um, the other thing is I'm using the first generation ES100, right? So I think they may be on a new revision of that as well. But the one thing that this doesn't have that I wish it did is a clip on the back of it. Like the ES100 has a clip on the back, and while the build here feels fine, it's just I mean it's plastic and like a brushed kind of finish. I wish it had that same clip that the ES100 has because I'm super cool and I like to hook it onto my belt and or onto one of my belt loops. That doesn't look nerdy at all when I'm walking around in public. But you guys get the idea. Um, 7 Hertz timeless review when? Yeah, there's a lot of folks asking about that. There is one on the way. The thing is, I'm gonna be on a trip coming up here. Actually, I'm leaving tomorrow for a couple of weeks, and that means that I won't have it show up until after I get back. So, and I don't know if I will do a full review. It might be in a comparison or something like that. Like maybe best IEM around $200 because there's a few there, or $300. It's something like that. 200, 300. Not exactly sure. But we also have the Moondrop Kato in, and the Dunu Falcon Pro. So I'll do some comparison there, maybe either that or I'll have Precog Vision do one. But yeah, it's the timeless is on the way. It's also on the radar. Let's see what's next. Have you tried the HD8XX thoughts? No, I haven't tried it yet. I know that they had said that they were going to send it over, but it apparently they don't have enough review units for reviewers. So I think I might be on like a waiting list or a tour list or something like that. I'm not sure. Subtonic Love, yeah. What's a punchy headphone with OK/good soundstage under 1.5K? Is Odyssey all there is? Punchy headphone with OK/good soundstage. The... Huh. I think... I mean, if you're okay with a bit more of a boutique build quality or esoteric, I suppose, build, there's that Aurorus Audio Borealis, which is both punchy and has a decent soundstage. Let's see. I think the only thing that I wasn't too keen on with the Borealis was that it has a strong 5K peak or somewhere around there that for me was a bit much. But I remember I mentioned that in the review. Apart from that, it had a pretty good tuning. I think they did a good job. I mean, right? The Verite has a 5K peak as well. So you just EQ that out. How resolved would you choose the name Unity Atom Headphone Edition over iFi IDSD Pro? Are there better streaming DAC/amp? I actually liked both of those units. The IDSD, though, is more... I'm not sure what the amp output is on that. I'll put it to you this way, though. The the difference there that you should be considering is whether or not you're going to use those extra streaming functions. Like, if you are going to use all of the streaming stuff, that name Unity thing is probably better because there's a ton of features there. But the other thing is that the iFi unit is much smaller, and the name is like a centerpiece. It's a chunky boy, and it looks fantastic. I'd say you buy the name for the looks and then some of the streaming features and functions. See if you would use those. And the iFi is way more about the form factor, in my opinion. I mean, yes, it has a lot of, like, it's got lots of features and functions too, but I would say between those two, the form factor should probably be the consideration. I mean, I shouldn't say that it's the name takes up a lot of space. It's just very thick, and it looks very unique. Vocaligia good value at $400. Yeah, you may want to mess around with some EQ, but yeah. Because for me, I think it was one that I needed to EQ, and it was good when I EQ'd it. Let's see. Oh yeah, someone else said Borealis. That's I agree. I think they did a good job on both of those fronts. Yeah, the Kato. I'm saying. I think I originally said Kato, but then when I saw Crin's video on it, I'm saying Kato. Yes, it's in the studio right now. I should be having a bunch of other reviews coming out here soon. One of them is the LCD5. That one's done. Have those Bear Dynamic headphones, the DT900 and 700. And I've also got the Drop Aeon, working on a review or a comparison, I guess, of the Drop Aeon X headphones, the open and the close. What's the future looking like on budget tube amps? I don't recommend budget tube amps. I think like across the board, I would never buy a tube amp that's under $1,500. Like, it's knowing what I know now about what goes into a lot of the budget tube amps, I wouldn't do it. I think the only exception there would be like maybe some of the bottlehead stuff, because then you get to like make it yourself, which is pretty sweet. Let's see. Every once in a while, like the chat will just like I'll be reading through it and then it'll just like jump to the to the furthest down. Did you audition any speaker, or are you settled on Genelecs? So the main reason that I wanted Genelecs is because there's a lot of data out on them, and I would want something referencey for the studio, because I'm going to try and sound treat that space to a certain degree, or to the degree that I can. And then the function there is to have them be, reference monitors that I can kind of anchor impressions to, but then also I want to be able to do like leakage and isolation testing with them. Now, theoretically, I could do leakage and isolation testing with whatever speakers that wouldn't make that big of a difference. But at the very least, the nice thing about those Genelecs is that there is a lot of information already out there about them. So I'll be able to have a known data point, a reference point there. So and I also think it'd be fun to like try and do the Harman research in reverse. So EQ the speaker to my preference, and then see if that matches my preference curve, or my like gets close to how I well, it's not my preference curve, it's basically Harman, but yeah. I think it'd be kind of fun to do that in reverse, just to see if it does match. But the ones that I'm using here right now, these are the Vanuatu Transparent 1 Encores. And I had to make sure that they were set up in the right positions, because at first I was like, what is this? This is not right. And so now that they're set up with the tweeter being roughly at my ear level, it's noticeably better, but still not like these are not on the level of those Head 07s. The Head 07s, like with the linearizer on, it's a remarkably good sounding speaker. And I need to. This is the thing, though. I need to I'm going to take those down to the studio and maybe do some comparisons with more similarly priced speakers, because these Vanuatus are much less expensive. Let's see. I'm not sure how the iFi Go Blue compares to other similar devices other than the Radson ES100. The main, so I would say like without any of the functions, the Go Blue, its sound is better than the ES100. I mean that was using an older AKM chip as well, but the benefits of the ES100 is that you can do all that EQ function stuff, and with so there's like an app, which is it's crazy what you can do with it. Whereas with the Go Blue, it's more just about using its its quick extra bass shelf function, and they have a spatializer, but I never use that. Could you drive the Aeon Noir? Doubtful. Aeon Noir actually takes a bit of power there. Best topping product in your opinion? Um, Ones that don't explode. Uh, or wait, ones that don't blow up your headphones. Um, ones that work. Actually, no. I like that. There's a couple new DAC amps that I think are coming out from them that are, again, those, like, they're not particularly, engaging sounding, but for their general sound. But I think they're, definitely the good enough options, and they have good value. So um, yeah, those new DAC amp combos are probably all you ever need. Um, oh yeah, I see someone say D50S. I never. So they asked if I wanted to review it, and I said no because they none of them are going to sound any different from any of the other ones. Like, I mean, they are all generally the same. They just have slightly different features and different, power, uh, output power, and that type of stuff. So different form factors, but for the most part, they're all going to sound the same. So that's what I mean. That's the other reason I'm just not that into, you know, amps and DACs for sound related reasons. Like, they don't sound very different to one another. If somebody's asking Magnet 3 Plus versus Atom, doesn't matter. um, all that stuff sounds basically the same. When you start to get into some of the, like, I don't know, like we have the Ferrum Ur at the studio or in the office, and there's when you start comparing some of the more esoteric choices out there, then yeah, there's differences, but for the most part, these good enough options. Like, I don't, you should not be considering sound quality when you're comparing a Magnet 3 Plus versus the Atom. You should be considering form factor, features, power output, that type of stuff. Aeon Flow X Open versus Ether 2. Neither. Neither. I'm gonna go with neither. The so the Aeon Open, I actually used to own an Aeon Open, but that was the previous version that wasn't the, or sorry, not the previous version, but it didn't have the pads that the Aeon Open X does. So that it's a little bit different, but the Aeon Open X, I know DMS recently did a review of that one, and I have a review coming up soon of both the open and the closed. The Open X does one thing exceptionally well, and its treble presentation is outstanding. Like, it's a very smooth treble, not boosted. It's not relaxed. It's the right amount of energy, but there's no weird harmonic resonances or anything like that in the treble, which is it's remarkably good for a planar magnetic headphone, because usually that's the tricky area. However, the reason why I would lean towards the Aeon X closed is I found that the open was on the wrong side of blunted for me. I think this is actually something that DMS mentioned as well, is that they do sound a little bit on the blunted side, and for me the closed was not as blunted for some reason. I don't know why that is. I don't think it has anything to do with frequency response either, because there is technically more treble energy on the closed, but that's not, like, we know that that's not correlated, because you can EQ it to the same result if you wanted to, and it would still sound more blunted on the open. So I personally go for the Aeon closed if you're gonna get one of those, the drop Aeons. There's no scenario where I would choose the Aeon Open X over the Hi-Fi Man Sundara, unless you don't EQ and you're listening to, like, classic rock and metal and stuff like that, because that sort of blunted quality it has the potential to actually make that type of music a little bit more enjoyable, because it's not as, like, the harsher tones are not as fatiguing sounding. So I think if anybody is like looking for something for heavy metal, that's one that I would actually recommend. And it is also quite a bit warmer in the mid bass and upper bass, meaning that for poor recordings you're gonna still get a lot of body and tone, which is nice. But so for me, I would just EQ the Sundara. Although I will say it's pretty comfortable, yeah. And if you're wondering about, like, the closed is the one that's the more balanced frequency response in general. It's just not as smooth in the treble, so it has a better bass response from the closed. And then also I find the closed to be not as blunted sounding. So for me, I would definitely choose the closed. I think I'm gonna, like, put the Aeon X closed on my recommended closed backs if I have a list of that, because it's definitely solid, especially at whatever price they're at, like $500 for that. I think is pretty good. Good frequency response, good instrument separation. They're fast sounding. Still, definitely no dynamics going on. Very soft and a little bit on the, again, right on the edge of being blunted, but not on the wrong side, in my opinion, on the closed. A bit of a random question here. By the way, thank you, Slip. What's the piano sheet music used in the photo of the Helios giveaway webpage? Thanks for the great work. Yeah, so it's. I was hoping somebody would notice that. That's actually not piano music. That's guitar, classical guitar sheet music. I'm pretty sure it's actually Bach or Brahms or something like that. Let me just. I should double check this. I can't find the image right now, but yeah, it's one of those. I want to say something Baroque. I think someone who is more into Baroque music will recognize it. But I'm glad you noticed, because I was visiting my my dad, or my parents, in the interior when I took that photo. So I took and when I was actually outside filming the video, the promo video for the Helios giveaway. That's what I was doing. I was there, and every morning my dad at 6 a.m. will he does his guitar practice, which is generally classical or flamenco guitar, and he so he has all the sheet music there, and I thought it looked pretty cool. Guys, if you're just showing up now, we haven't done the giveaway yet. We're doing it at the end of the stream. All right, let's keep going here. Favorite campfire IEM. Recently got into campfire and happy with all 4 of mine. I have not explored outside of campfire. What should be a next brand for me to try? I think Campfire's only really done 2 truly good IEMs. I think there's an argument to say they've only done 1. It's not my argument. So I think that I shouldn't say that. There's a couple that I think are good depending on what type of music you like. The Campfire Andromeda, of course, is highly regarded for good reason. And I think that the Solaris was pretty good too, at least the ones that I tried, because I know that maybe there was some unit variation there. And then I know a lot of people don't like the Aura, but it's a bit of a boomer tuning. It's very lean in the bass. But actually, the tonal balance for the Aura is not bad. There's some weird esoteric kind of dips in the frequency response, which has the effect of kind of enhancing the sense of space. So for people who are looking for that extra sense of space, the Aura is still good. But yeah, it's definitely on the lean side. If you're into jazz and classical, then that would be fine. But apart from that, I don't like, all the rest of the tunings are just a little too weird for me. They're all very V-shaped. It's not for me. So anyways, to get to your question, what's another IEM brand to try to get into? I would highly recommend getting into 64 audio stuff. It's more expensive, it's more high end, but at the same time, like, I like the 64 audio U12T. It obliterates the Andromeda, in my opinion. I can see some people liking the Campfire Andromeda's tuning, but the 64 audio U12T, I think, is just better on all fronts. That's also like a lot more expensive. But if you want to get into a more budget friendly brand, check out Moondrop. Check out The Audio. I'm trying to think, like, the The Audio Clairvoyance is good tuning. The Monarch is generally well received. and Moondrop stuff is good too. And of course now the Symphonium Helios, which is also around that price. Would I take the Helios over the Andromeda? Yes. Yes, absolutely. There is one reason why the Andromeda might be preferable, I think, and it's, well, there's two. One is if you don't listen to music that tokens the full range down into the sub bass, you might miss where the bass shelf is, right, on the Helios, because it's a very pronounced bass shelf, but it's way more sub bass focused, less mid and upper bass focused. But the bass quality is so much better. And then the other reason would be if the fit is a bit strange for you. The Andromeda is a little bit, well, the Andromeda also has some jagged edges, but I think at least I had an easier time with the fit on the Andromeda. But for all the rest of its qualities, like everything from the tuning to the technical performance, I would take the Helios. Let's see. Sindara is best for money. Yep. Sindara and HD6XX, I think, are the best for money. And the K371. Woo! Here we go. Wait, you guys can see it. This is what I use for like all of the dialogue audio, making sure that it's like referencey, or trying to at least, because it's not perfect. But the K371 is very good value. It's a little on the rickety side. It's not well built, but yeah. Aeon X closed versus Aeon 2 closed. All right, this is interesting because the Aeon X closed has a way better frequency response than the Aeon 2, unless you use those perforated pads, which actually do make the Aeon 2 closed quite a bit better sounding. So I would say Aeon 2 closed because the detail is better. It's definitely better for trailing ends of tones on the Aeon 2. Just make sure that you have that with the perforated pads, because it's going to be way better than the default pads, or the previous pads, I guess, because that's effectively what you get with the Noir. Unique Melody Mest Mark II. I haven't heard the Mark II. I heard the Mark 1 and I thought it was pretty good. I know Theo preferred the Mark 1. Theo, being Precog Vision, preferred the Mark 1 as well. Theodio Monarch Mark II. So yeah, we should be getting those. But I'm not going to be around. So maybe we'll send one to Precog and we'll have him do a review of that, because he is the IEM specialist. I'm sure he wants to hear that. But actually, the Monarch Mark 1 is right here, which is also very nice. Come on, focus. You can do it. No. Oh, it's thinking about it. As soon as my eye is in the shot. All right. Yeah. What do you think about the Ether CX? I haven't heard the CX, but I've heard the Ether closed, and then the Ether open, and then the Ether 2, or Ether closed 1.1, or whatever the revision was. My main issue with the Ether closed, though, was that it was clampy. I think that on the Aeons, like the well, there's a Noir over there, but yeah, on the Aeons, they're a little more comfortable, for me at least. If you had to choose one budget headphone under $150, what would it be? Either the Hi-Fi Man HE400 SE or the AKG K371 for closed back. Those are my two picks. Some people prefer the K361 to K371. What's your take? My take is that the people who preferred the K361, my take is that there are some unit variation and QC issues with those headphones, because some of the tunings that I've seen for the Symphonium audio's in here. Great. But yeah, some of the tunings that I've seen with the K371 have been a little all over the place for the bass. This one, in particular, is exactly neutral. So I would say, yeah, K371 for me, as long as it's one that actually is, representative. I don't know what's actually representative because I have a sample size of 1. Good to see Symphonium audio in the in the chat. That's awesome. Did I miss a super chat here? Let's see if I can. I realize I'm leaning in, so you guys get. All right. There's the super chat. Benjamin, thank you. Looking around 1,000 to 1,500, best headphones for soundstage without going the HD800 route. You'd be looking at maybe Hi-Fi Man Aria is pretty good for that. I know people said that the V3 was not as spacious. They're totally fine for that. I think I mean, I did see Josh's video on that. I don't know what's going on with his unit. If he took the mesh off or something, which may have affected the sound. On the, and I don't know if that was a V1 or V2, but the V3 and the V2 are very, very similar for their soundstage. So yeah, I would look at Aria, either, well, any of them really. What else would be good for soundstage there? I mean, honestly, soundstage isn't. It's not that big a deal. But yeah, you could go with the ZMF Auteur. It's got a good tuning and a good soundstage. But for me, the Auteur was almost like too far. Yeah, I would say Aria or ZMF Auteur. Personally, those aren't the ones. Like, I'm just thinking like around that price, you could also look into the Odyssey LCD X, but that's not as spacious. It's just that, you know, it might be something that, depending on your tuning preferences, you'd also want to consider. What's up, Kryn? Did I try the Go Blue? Yeah, I've tried the Go Blue. Yeah, it works just like the ES100. Just has a couple extra functions, and not it doesn't have the app. Let's see. Twitter entries for the giveaway don't work. They should. They work for me. Not that I was doing it, but I had to test it and it worked. Let's see. Yeah, with the giveaway thing, it's the software is not the greatest. We're using an app called Viral Sweep. It's not very good. So, or at least it seems to not work on all devices. So, if you're having trouble with that, try doing it in desktop mode if you're on your phone. Let's see. Josh's Aria is the V2 with the mesh removed. Yeah, I don't know what the effect of the mesh would be, or removing the mesh would be. But if he's saying the V2 is more spacious than the V3, if it is, it's just like tiny little bit. The V3, the only real difference is the window shade grill is different, and then the magnets. They're using the stealth magnets on the V3. Now, what that does in practice is the at least with the stealth magnets, the only thing that's going to actually affect is the upper treble frequencies, and it does. You can see it on the graph. It's your treble balance is you get a little bit more air at like 12K, so your treble balance is actually a little better in the V3 in my opinion. And I know like some people were talking about the bass being different. The unit that I tested was very similar in the bass, like maybe like 1 dB more on the V3, so it was totally within unit variation tolerances. So I don't know if that's actually accurate. Kryn over 30K subs, hell yeah, dude. I keep saying this, I want more people to watch his stuff, because he's somebody who I consider to, be like, I'd rather have people listen to what he has to say than listen to what some other folks have to say. he's somebody whose opinion I trust, basically. Not trust as in like I don't trust, like I don't think people are being honest, more like I know that he knows what stuff's supposed to sound like. And we, even though we may disagree from time to time, like I have a similar way of evaluating stuff. Let's see. Oh, I didn't see Marius. What's that in reference to? Oh, base level. Yeah. I recently saw this Sennheiser ad for their Urbanite series, and it's from like a long time ago, from like 2015. But the ad was, it was like this guy with a very thick German accent talking about like bass, not more, better, and yeah, it was pretty funny. When you ship to EU from headphone.com. um, I'm actually, I think you could theoretically do that. It's just that it would cost a lot for shipping, I imagine. But I'm not sure. That's, yeah, it's not a question for me. Let's see. Given how you said there is a similarity between amps and DACs, how similar would you say Spotify's highest streaming quality is to other streaming services? Um, so my favorite streaming service is Qobuz. Um, but it's kind of an apples to oranges comparison because Spotify doesn't have the lossless streaming. So I'd say I don't know. I still use Spotify. I know that Spotify 320 is not technically as good as like, other 320, but the difference is so minimal that I don't know how much it matters. You can tell the difference theoretically, but I've never bothered because it's not significant enough to where you're bottlenecking or limiting your headphones. Like there's some people who have that opinion that like if you're not listening to FLAC, what's the point in high-end headphones? And that's just false. Like you can listen to Spotify and you will hear the differences between a Utopia and a Clear, right? You will hear that. You should be able to. Um, so yeah, I still use Spotify for like music acquisition and being able to, you know, uh, the convenience aspect of it. But for the high res stuff, I use Qobuz, and Qobuz is the way. Don, thank you. I don't see your question though. Oh, go Qobuz. They pay artists several times more than pretty much all others. Yeah. I used to use Amazon Music HD, but it's the interface is abysmal. I can't use it. Uh, Apple Music, no, I don't use. I'd rather keep as much Apple software off of my equipment as possible. Um, I just like, yeah, I can't use that stuff. But I think a lot of what they're doing is cool. Like I don't know, their high tier, I guess, of quality is cool. If you're looking for perfection, you're in the wrong hobby. Music is a fluid thing and not performance oriented discipline. I'd rather listen to well mastered music than crap they pushed on consumers. I would also rather listen to well mastered music. Would you rather be forced to only use KZ IMs for the rest of your life, or only be able to listen to Yoko Ono for the rest of your life? Oh, definitely be forced to use KZ. That's a great question. HE400 SE, HEX4, and HE4XX. What is the biggest difference, or all the same? So HE400 SE and HEX4 are better than the HE4XX. You heard it here first. No, I'm just kidding. You probably didn't hear it here first. But there's very little difference between the HE400 SE and the HEX4. They sound basically the same. HE400 SE uses the stealth magnets, whereas the HEX4 does not. But apart from that, they are identical acoustically. And when I measured them, you couldn't, like, the difference was not even visible in the measurements. So go with whichever one you want. Theodio Oracle or Duno SA6 for vocals. You know, as much as I thought the Oracle was impressive, I personally prefer the SA6's tonal balance. Like, there's something about that works for me so well. I don't know about for vocals, but yeah. Moondrop Variations is also another one to pay attention to. It's very good. Hey, what's up, Senior C? I think that Hi-Fi Man Edition XS will disrupt the sub $500 ranking. I didn't know it was under $500. If it is, that's pretty crazy. I don't know what's going on there. I'll need to check that out. Deva Pro, yeah, I gave my thoughts already on that in the CanJam video. I did hear it at the show, but it's like show conditions, right? To me, it's still like it's the wrong thing. Like as much as it's cool that they're making things wireless, I don't understand. I really am not the right niche for wireless open back headphones. To me, that's not. I would never feel a need to use that. The only time that I would need wireless headphones is if I'm going outside, and I like the convenience, right? And then in that situation, it's closed back. So I'm not the right person for there. I'm not the audience, I guess. Don, thank you. Maybe TMI, but any suggestions for IEMs for old guys like me with more hair in their ears than on head? Jesus. Making it hard/impossible to get a good seal. Oh man, that's a tough question then. I would mess around with like Comply foam tips or some of the more comfy foam tips. Deconi makes some decent foam tips as well. That's really my suggestion there. Try and go for IEMs that have thinner nozzles, I suppose, and then compensate for that with foam. Again, I like using Duno IEMs for comfort. Like the SA6 is super comfortable for me. There are other IEMs that are comfortable too, and some of the Moondrop ones are pretty comfortable, but some of them are also pretty thick nozzles. Like the Blessing 2 is a chunky boy, but actually it works fine for me. So I don't know. Yeah, go with something that is more on the comfortable side of things. Falcon Pro is really comfortable. Depends what you're looking for, I guess. Waiting on a Focal Alire successor. I think they're going to make one soon. They did make one. It's called the Clear. And then there's now the Clear MG Magnesium. Tell Hi-Fi Man to make HE6 again. If I had some, communication with Hi-Fi Man, then yeah, I would tell them. But I think they'd turn around and say, yeah, they do make it again. They make the HE6 SE, which it's not the same. There's a different process for it. Even though the drivers are very similar, so it's remarkable how different it sounds to me. I just returned the Theodio Monarch and Moondrop Variations. What do you have that's like Echo OH7? I have no idea. I think you might want to ask Alan. I'm not the I'm not the right person for that. Oh, there's some hum coming from the mic whenever I bring the headphones closer. That's weird. Maybe because I have the tube amp over there. I don't know. Something. Aria is very comfortable. Yeah. LCX 2021 for gaming and heavy metal. Yeah, you'd be fine with that. I tend to agree with Corinne that for gaming, like, you can actually make do with most headphones as long as it's something that you bother to get used to and practice with. With that said, I would probably gravitate more towards certain types of headphones, but I think you'd be fine with the LCX. How do you feel when you go on your outdoor hikes with expensive IEMs? I honestly feel very nervous at the thought of damaging them. Um, well, I'm not like rustling cattle with them. I'm just walking around, so I don't have any issues with that. Yeah, I've never had any issues with going on because I want to do my IEM reviews outside, which is like when I would be most commonly using them. I know not everybody is like that. A lot of people use IEMs just stationary at a desk, but for me, the advantage there is that they are small and portable and closed, right? So I can go for those hikes. Um, any thoughts on the DT 1990 versus LCD2C? I don't particularly like either of those. I would go. What, that's at like $700, something like that. Well, the DT 1990 is less. It's like 500, I think. Um, there are many options that I would go for a Sandara 2020 over both of those. I would also go for an Alex, Focal Alex over both of those. Um, I would also choose an Ananda over both of those. Maybe the GX. Compare Go Blue to the Hip DAC. I have the original Hip DAC here. Don't have the V2. They're totally different devices. Like if you're looking, make your decision around form factor here, guys. this is this is the difference that we're talking about, right? So, you know, like don't base it on sound quality or features or whatever. Base it on form factor. Oh, Rob. So personally, I liked the amp from the name better than because the IDS. I treated the IDSD Pro as a DAC, and then I would run it to like the Pro ICANN or something else. Even though it does totally have a good, like it's a solid functional amp portion, that's totally fine. But if that's what you're evaluating, I did personally prefer the name Unities. Yeah. But I still stand by what I said. Like, make that more about form factor and features, less about, the sound quality differences. Even though I think that they do exist, they are slightly different. 1990 is $400 now. Yeah, it might be a good. I would say that'd be a good option for gaming. I wouldn't really use it for anything else though, because the treble peaks are just nuts on that thing. It doesn't make sense. I did a review of the harmonica and Poseidon already. I no Zeus is better. What's my favorite headphone? Hi-Fi Man Sysvara. Although LCD5 is making a push. No, it's still Sysvara, I think. And Focal Utopia is up there too. Would you still get a Sundara over LCD2 if you EQ'd the LCD2? So only LCD2F. All right, LCD2C, I don't. To me, it just wasn't on the same level. LCD2F, yes, absolutely is better than the Sundara. So not the classic. A iFi edition or HE6 SE. I hope you mean V2 versus Ananda. I would take HE6 SE V2 personally, but I would also EQ it. Yeah, Ananda has a better frequency response, slightly more balanced. But it's not like the HE6 SE V2 is far off. Aeon 2 Noir versus Focal Radiance. I like both of those. I think if you want dynamics, Focal Radiance. If you want that sort of punch and slam quality, Radiance would be the way to go. If you want instrument separation, image sort of distinctness, then Aeon 2 Noir would be the way to go. The Radiance is a little bit warmer, a little bassier. The Noir also it has a bass shelf, but it's just not as powerful. Yeah. Wheezy, what's up, man? 1990 is amazing for Rainbow Six Siege. Something about that headphone and gaming. Yeah, so like that's my take as well. Like for gaming, I can see that headphone working out, right? Because you want to be able to, like, I don't know, the things that are harsh and piercing and annoying about that headphone in music would actually be beneficial in a situation where you need to your attention needs to be drawn to things. So yeah, I agree with that take. LCD5 versus Susvara. Okay, so Susvara has slightly better. Okay, so I should back up. When it comes to bass detail, I find the LCD5 to be better than the Susvara. Like bass tightness and control, I find the LCD5 to be a little better. Then for the like upper mids and for the treble, I find the Susvara to be better. But they're both exceptional for their technical performance. For slam, I think the LCD5 is a little more intense. The Susvara is not a particularly contrasty headphone, but that's not why I love it. Sound staging, I'd still give the edge to the Susvara, but not by much, because the LCD5 is surprisingly spacious. It's more spacious than, like, you're several rows back from the LCD, comparing with the LCD4. So with EQ, this is the thing. With EQ, I can see an argument for the LCD5 over the Susvara. Without EQ, not a chance. But with EQ, absolutely. And part of that argument comes from the fact that it's a smaller headphone on the LCD5. Now, I do still find the Susvara to be more comfortable, but that's because of the clamp force, and I just have a large head. And I think for people who have a more normal sized head, the LCD5 would be very comfortable. So, yeah. Also, the Susvara does change depending on what you run it from. It is, yeah. They both do, but yeah, Susvara, like, you can get some pretty interesting stuff with the soundstage on that. So, I don't know. I think I like them both for different things. And then the Utopia is also in that conversation. For punchiness, Utopia is that for me, with a good balance. We're getting close to the end here, guys. We'll do the giveaway here shortly. Kennerton has a unique sound signature. I haven't liked any of the ones that I've heard. They've all been a little bit on the blunted side for me, like not very detailed. But I haven't heard all of them, so I need to. Like, I know Android had the Rognir, I think, recently, which was, yeah. I haven't read his full take on that, but yeah. I do know that the one guy measured them with the wrong pads. So that was kind of funny. Any recommendation for warm neutral headphone under 1K? Used okay and no preference for open or closed. Well, then I'd say get an open back. Warm neutral. If you can get a clear, Focal clear under, well, I'm not sure if there are any left, but the original clears, yeah, I'd say it'd be like warm neutral or like generally neutral. I don't know about fully warm neutral. Yeah, but they're not, they don't have a bright, extra bright treble or anything. They're even, at least the ones that I compared against the LX, they were even less bright than the LX. So yeah, I'd say Focal clear if you can. Other than that, ZMF Aeolus is only 1100, I think, and that would probably be warm neutral. LC2F, because you can just EQ that. Drop Kato review. not sure when, but I'm pretty sure Precog's gonna have his out before we do because I'll be gone for a couple weeks here. Trellis, what's up, man? Thank you. What does HE1000 SE lack versus Susvara? Susvara is way better tuning. The HE1000 SE is very detailed, but it is well, at least the one that I heard, because I reviewed one like a while ago, right? And they sometimes make revisions. It was particularly bright. Like there were some strange resonances there in the treble that made it just, the whole thing sounded this like weird distended kind of, frequency response. It wasn't for me. I definitely need to EQ it. But the soundstage was excellent on it, and the detail is remarkable on the HE1000 SE. But the Susvara, I think, is just better in literally every category, except for soundstage. I don't think the Susvara is better in soundstage. Assimilated. What's your question? And thank you. I don't see your question. Why does Focal Clear MG exist? So I personally like the original better, and I know a number of the other folks at the office preferred the original as well. But then I also talked to Jude about it, and Jude preferred the MG. So I don't know. Best closeback under $1,000 that would run on something like the M11. Is it the new Mac laptop? I don't know what the M11 is. Closeback. You're looking at Aeon 2 Noir, Focal Radiance. Well, I'm gonna actually, Radiance is a little more, but it's around that. Focal Celeste, and what else? I know there's that Aurora's Australis V2, but I haven't heard that, so I can't really comment on that. Yeah, I would say those would be my picks. Oh, FIO M11. Okay. How do you compare HE6 SE V2 to other Kilobuck headphones and those sub 1K? If they are available for 600, how would they compare to, say, Alex? Yeah, so it's HE6 SE V2 is solid, and I would recommend it at that price. I have a hard time with that $1,800 price tag. I think that the other one was going for, but whatever the under $1,000 price is solid. Well, it's a good deal, I think. But it's like a planar version of, I hesitate to say it's a planar version of an Alex, but yeah, it's that similar kind of like, good value option for like high-end headphones. So yeah, Alex is punchier. The HE6 SE V2 has better instrument separation and is a little faster and tighter sounding. Neither of them have a particularly large or spacious soundstage, but that's fine. And with the HE6 SE V2, you may want to pad roll to the HE400 SE pads or the Sandara 2020 pads. Although I'm not sure, because it might actually come with the HE400 SE pads, which if it does, that's great, because it worked out reasonably well. Don, thanks. ES100 sounds interesting for me with an EQ in the app. The AirPod Pros have some sort of EQ. Any other portable DAC amps or IEMs with EQ? I think you can there's lots of EQ functions that you can just put onto a phone, like Wavelet, or I think it's called Wavelet. That works reasonably well. So I would just do that, and then you can use whatever, theoretically. But other than that, no. Like if you want like a device that does EQ, I would say the ES100 would be the way to go. But if all you are going to do is add a bass boost, then the iFi Go Blue would be easier because it's just a button. But yeah, I mean, that's the one advantage of the ES100 is that you can be a little bit more specific. The one thing, so I have the ES100 and I like it, but the one thing, I just sort of stopped using the EQ function. I mean, that's probably just me, but yeah, I just sort of stopped bothering with it. Because it was, It's like I have to have a different profile for everything, and I'm really just, I wanted to go for a walk or something, right? Cutilix, okay, there you go. That's that. I need to get one of those in then and check that out because that's pretty cool. That's honestly my criticism of the Go Blue is that you have to use a separate app if you want to do the EQ functions. Yeah. All right, guys. Let's do the giveaway here. Guys, in order to do the giveaway, I need a drum roll. So if you can hook me up with a drum roll, that would be great. Drum roll in the chat, please. And as usual, for anybody unaware, if the winner is from an area that giveaways are not eligible in, we'll just have to do it again. Because there are some regions in the world that just you can't do it. But and it's not to do with shipping; it's to do with legal regional restrictions. But yeah, the winner of the Symphonium Helios and iFi Go Blue is the suspense. It's all the drums. All right, the winner is I don't want to say the full name, but it's Sajid. Mirza Sajid. Yeah, I don't know how to say the rest of the name, so yeah. You saying another rigged giveaway because you didn't win? Yeah, so we have the email address. We will be in touch with you. Congratulations to Sajid for winning the Symphonium Helios and iFi Go Blue combo. Okay. So, if you didn't win this time, which is most of you, I do want to let you guys know that we do try and do one giveaway every month. If you want to know where to go to learn more about the giveaways, it's headphones.com/pages/giveaways. Now, this month in particular, for November, I'm not sure what we're going to be doing. I will try and update you guys with that. But yeah, try and just stay tuned to the giveaways page if you want to know what's next. The reason we'll see if we can do a giveaway for November, but I might not do an announcement video on that. So just stay tuned to the headphones.com/pages/giveaways page, just because I'm going to be away for a couple of weeks. But otherwise, yeah, maybe we'll have one of the other guys do the giveaway for the next one. In any case, guys, thanks for tuning in, and thanks for participating in the giveaway, and congratulations to the winner. Okay, we'll see you guys in the next video. What's your question, Siddharth? Or Siddharth? I'm waiting for you to ask it. All right. See you guys. I'm just trying to answer this one question because Still waiting on the question. Oh, XM4s have better ANC, but a really weird frequency response. PXE 552s are more neutral, less bassy, more detailed, not as good features, and not as good ANC. I'm going to recommend the Momentum 3s, actually. That's probably the best ANC headphone for sound quality that I've heard. So, yeah. Alrighty, guys. I'll see you guys in the next one.